Hello, my dear students and the rest of the learners. Welcome to part 10 of a 22-part series of tutorials in Managed Database System using Microsoft Access. In this presentation, we shall be looking at how to set field properties and indexing for our fields in a relational database. My name is Memede M. You can simply call me Emily Swap. After creating the fields, as we created in part 9 of the series, you then proceed and set the field properties for each of the fields, and lastly, you save your table. Some of those properties include the field size, the data type, the format, the required, the input mask, validation rule, default value, amongst others. Simply put, my dear students and the rest of the learners, creating of tables and the fields is not just only that. You need to specify the format for your data that is going to be keyed in so that you don't end up with the wrong data in the correct fields. And therefore, the setting of field properties restricts or limits the type of data that you're supposed to enter in each of the fields. By so doing, you can be able to control the type of data that is entered so that you have the correct data type for the correct field. For example, if in a field you're supposed to key in the age of a person, and this age, for example, is limited to 3 characters, it is important to inform Access those additional attributes or characteristics for each of your field so that you don't end up having garbage in your database. That is why it is important to set field properties, indexing, and also what we call the validation rules and validations and the input masks that we are going to learn in subsequent presentations. And therefore, the following are some data variables and attributes or types and examples that one can set. We have what we call the atomic attribute. Atomic attribute entails entering data that is single and indivisible in value, one which you cannot subdivide any further. For example, first name. First name like Alice, you cannot subdivide it any further, so it is said to be atomic attribute. So you can set an atomic attribute. Date of birth is also atomic, because you cannot break it down. We have what we call the composite attribute. It is made up of a number of subparts. For example, an address of a person, like PO Box 48, Meru, Kenya. PO Box 48. You can see there is PO, there is box, there is 48, which is a number, there is the name of a street, etc. So that is called a composite attribute or a composite field. We have also another example, like full name. If you join, for example, first name and last name together, and you have a single field, for example, called the full name, then that can also be called a composite data attribute. We have what we call the single valued attribute. It holds just one value, for example, gender, male, female, yes, no. Those are called single valued attributes. We have also what we call multi-valued attributes. Remember, attributes are field properties. So when you use the word attribute, it's good to note you can replace it with the word properties. So multi-valued attribute may have multiple values. Access usually supports multi-value fields, but they break normalization rules. So it's good to avoid the multi-valued attributes by breaking them down and distributing them accordingly at each of the tables where it fits best. An example is student languages. Now, this one is not even recommended. So it's always good to separate. For example, student languages, you separate the languages from the students. So you can have student ID and language separately. So the multi-valued attributes are not really good in a table. They are not good. So you don't even need to set such properties This is purely for the learning purposes, but it is important for you to note that having done the normalization for your database, each table should have atomic fields or fields that you cannot subdivide any further. There is also what we call the stored attribute. So it is persisted in database management systems like enrollment date, date of birth. Another example of data is the one which is stored. Another example of data is stored. We have what we call derived attribute. It's computed from others, like balance. You can also compute the age from subtracting the date of birth from the current date, or current date from the date of birth. You also have the age, which can also be derived. It's computed or calculated. You have what we call the narrow valued attributes. They're usually unknown or missing. So you may, for example, have an email or not have an email. It's not mandatory. So it may be there or not. So we call that null attribute, and it is usually optional, like email. Once you have set your other properties, whether it's atomic or not, you can also do indexing. Now, what is indexing? Indexing is important because it makes searches and joins faster. So if you want to increase the speed at which you are able to retrieve data from your database, it's always going to work on the field that we call indexing, and we are going to see how we do that. So what do you index? You index the fields that contain primary keys, and these ones are normally indexed automatically. So you set them to be indexed automatically. We also index the foreign keys, like program ID, course ID, and others. And we also index the commonly searched fields that you use or that you look for each and every time you're operating with a database. How do you set? How do you set the fields? To set the fields, you click on table design, then right-click the field. That is mostly this process for setting the index, how you index. So you right-click on table design. So you click on table design, then right-click on the field that you want to index. You select indexed from the properties, and then you set it to yes and no duplicates. For example, you can index student ID, program ID, and frequently queried fields like course ID to speed the selections. Therefore, to improve performance, you can have an indexing plan, set it to automatically indexed. It's always good to have all primary keys fields indexed and are set as auto numbers. So the following are the following properties and descriptions of the fields for our tables that we are going to set the properties for. The first one is the students table. So for our students table, we have the following fields. We have the student ID, the first name, last name, date of birth, gender, phone, email, address, and the program ID. And we also set the data types in our previous presentation, which was part 9 of the series. So what we are going to do is just adding additional information. We are going to add the field size, the format, how long how many number of values or characters that a field is supposed to accommodate. Like student ID, maximum is 5. First name is maximum is 30. Last name maximum is 30. Date of birth is short date. Gender is 1, meaning M or F. Phone 13. Email maximum of 50. Address none. So you don't need to restrict or limit. And then we have the program ID. Is it required? Yes, you can see. You can set it as mandatory. That you cannot have a field which is empty. So you set the properties. As you can see, all my fields are set them to be required or not. Yes. If it's not yes, if you leave it and then it is no, it means that the content of that data can be empty. So somebody can skip from entering that data into your table. Then there's a property which asks whether you want it to allow zero length or not, meaning do you want somebody to enter or leave it without having been entered? Do you want it to be compulsory or not? So you can also decide whether you want to allow zero length or not. So if you set allow zero length as yes, it means somebody can skip that field without entering anything. Now for my table, I have set it in a way that there is no option. The field must be entered and it cannot be empty. So allowing zero length property simply means, do you want to leave it as empty or not? So for our case, ours is no. As you can see, the field for date of birth is not set whether you are allowing zero length or not, because as long as it exists, it has its own length. Now, the other one is, the other property is indexed. Do you want to index student ID, first name, etc.? You can see we are going to index our student ID. So we are going to click on yes, no duplicates. The rest, not indexed, but you're also going to index the program ID. Now for the description, there you just type some information to guide the person who is doing the entry of data to know what is required. And therefore, the description is not mandatory, but it is important. So let us set those properties for our student ID or our students table. So we are going to open our database. Now this database, we created it already in part 9 of the series, and therefore we are just going to open our database. So you look for it from wherever you have created it. So here it is. So you open your database. Once you have opened your database, now you open the table, you design a view, whose properties you want to set. So our table is students. So you right click on it, you click design a view. Once you have done that, you then proceed and set the properties as learned. So how do you proceed with setting properties? So you click on student ID, that is under the data type. And then at the bottom here, you can see this what we have called, what we have as general and as lookup. And there's also this section here for description. So you can type the description here and you set the other properties here. So let's set our properties. So for student ID, the field size, the length is 5. So you click here on field size, delete what is there, and set, for example, as 5. Then next, is it required? So you look for required here. Is it required? Yes. Allow zero length? No. So you remove that, set it as no. Then indexed? Yes. So yes, no duplicates. So that's all for that field. Then you move on to first name. First name, maximum is that the characters. So we go to field size here, and then you type that note. For you to set the properties for any field, you click on that field first under the data type or under field name, and then at the bottom, you set the properties that you need. Is it required? So you go to required here. It is no. I want to set it as yes. It is required. Allow zero length? No. It cannot be empty. So we set that property. Allow duplicates? Is it indexed or not? Indexed? No, we don't need to index. Then we can leave it at that. We move on to last name. Last name, we go to size, maximum is 30 characters. Then required, is it required? Yes. We don't want anyone to skip that. So required, yes. And then allow zero length, you click there, and you can always choose here whether no or yes. So required, is it indexed? Let's see, allow zero length, allow zero length, no, it must be entered. Is it indexed? Here, you can always choose from this list here. Is it indexed? No, we don't need to index. Then you can move on to date of birth. Date of birth, we add date stroke time, but you can set under format how we want it to be. So we can choose a short date. So you can click here and choose short date. Any other property for date of birth? Is it required? Yes. So we can choose yes, it is required. Is it indexed? No. So we don't need to set that. And then the properties are there. Then we can move on to gender. So you click on gender. For gender, it is short text and the field size is 1. It is either male or female. So let's make it 1. And then, is it required? Yes. So we click there, we choose yes, it is required. Then allow zero length. Allow zero length? No. Gender cannot be zero length. So we can type there, allow zero length. We can type no, so that we don't allow zero length. Allow zero length, no. So we must enter the gender. Then, is it indexed? No, we don't need to index the date of birth. Then, that is the gender. We don't need to index the gender. Then you move on. Remember, you have to be very careful when you are setting these properties. I've said for gender, required, the size for gender, the field size for gender is 1. Is it required? Yes. Allow zero length? No. Indexed? No. So from there, we can set our font properties. So we click on font. Under font, it is short text. How long? Let's set this one 13 characters. Font number cannot be more than 13 characters in length. Is it required? Yes. So we choose yes, it is required. Allow zero length? No. We should not allow zero length. So we cannot allow zero length. Something must be entered. Is it indexed? No. So we can leave the rest of the properties. Then we move to email. Email is long text. Field size, we don't need to bother. Required. Let's set it as yes, it is required. So that we have email for every person. But remember, this one is optional. Sometimes we can leave it. Allow zero length? No, we must have an entry. So we set it as no. Is it indexed? No, we don't need to index the emails. Then from there, we can move on to the address. The address is long text. We don't need to specify how long it is going to be. But is it required? Yes. Remember, if you leave as no, it means that can be left as empty. Allow zero length? No, we cannot allow zero length here. An entry must be made. Then, indexed? No, we don't need to index. From there, we move to program ID. Program ID should be set maximum of 5 numbers or digits. Is it required? Yes, we cannot leave it empty. Allow zero length? No. We cannot allow it to be left as empty. Indexed? Yes. And duplicates? Okay. So those are our properties. You have seen how we have keyed them in. And if you want to set any description, like for example, for student ID, you just click there and then you type. For example, unique, not there, cannot type there. So I have to make a correction. So it is the first name. So it's supposed to be short text. So I have to repeat here. If you make a mistake, you repeat. First name. It was first name and it was short text. So you type explanations here or descriptions. For example, for student, I can say unique student identifier required. This is just a description, and you can do the same for all the others. Once you are done with setting your properties as you need, you click on save, and then you close that table. So that's how you set the properties for our table called the students. What about for programs table? For programs table, we are going to set our properties as follows. For program ID, remember, those fields that are the same across the tables must be retained. The characteristics must be the same. The attributes must be the same. So for programs table, our properties will be, for program ID, field size will be 5. Required, yes. Allow zero length, no. Indexed, yes. Program name, those will be our properties there. We have the size required, yes, zero length. Program name, do you need to sort the program name? Yeah, you can sort the programs names because more than one student may be having the same program, or you have various programs being taken by various students, so it's okay to index that. Then program fees, we have the currency, you can set the format. The format is key here because it helps you be able to determine the type of currency to be displayed, like Kenya shillings, dollars, etc. Required, yes. Allow zero length, no. Indexed, no. Duration is there. The properties as you can see. Then department ID, it is of maximum size 5. Required, yes. And we don't need to index it at this point. So those are our properties for the programs table. So let's now proceed and set those properties in our database. So we open our database and we set those properties there. That is for programs table. So we open programs table in the sign view and set those properties just as we have discussed. So for program ID, maximum size is 5. Then required, is it required? Yes. Allow zero length? No. Allow zero length? No. Indexed? Yes. Are duplicates allowed? No. So yes, no duplicates. That is enough for that property, that field. We move on now to program name. The size is 50. Remember, when you are thinking about the field size, you have to think of the size of the data you are going to key in. How many characters are going to form, or how many characters will your data in a field require? So that's what helps you determine the field size. If, for example, the name with the highest number of characters are 4, you can choose field size of 5. or restrict it to 4. So you don't just set for the sake. You have to know why you are setting a certain property. Why are you setting a fast or program name to be maximum of 50 characters? It depends with the length, the program with the highest name or the longest name. For example, diploma in ICT, diploma in information communication technology, you count the number of characters for your institution, and then you use the department or the program, use the program with the longest name, the highest number of characters to be the determinant of the field size of that field. So for program name, we are going to set maximum number of characters at 50. Is it required? Yes. We don't want that one to be left as empty. So we choose yes. Allow zero length? No. It must be, somebody must enter something. So we shall not allow zero length. Now, are we going to index the name, the program name? So under indexed, we can have it as yes. So we can index it. So indexed, yes. And duplicates allowed? Yeah, you can allow duplicates here. So yes, duplicates, okay. So we can set it as yes. And duplicates, okay, that is for program name. Then from there, we can move on to program fees. So we move on to program fees. Our properties for program fees, the first one is the format. So we click on the currency here for the format, and you can type the format you want. And our format is Kenya shillings. So we can just type as Kenya shillings. And remember, it has a special format. So we type it as follows. So we can have our symbols that way, Kenya shillings, and then 0 that way, Kenya shillings, then 0. We shall learn more about this under the input masks and validations later. Is it required? Is the fees required? Yes. So here we choose yes. It is required. Do we need to index fees? No. It remains as no. From there, we can move on to duration. How long is our program supposed to take? So duration, you can have maximum of 10 characters, like 1 year, 2 years, etc. Those characters will not exceed 10. Then, is it required? Yes. We don't want any student to miss the duration. Allow zero length? No. Somebody must enter something. So we shall click on no. We are going to choose on no. Do we need to index fees? No. So that one can be that way. We move on to not fees, but the duration. Do we need to index the duration? No. Then you move on to department ID. Department ID, it should not exceed 5 characters because each department has its own ID. Is it required? Yes. A student must belong to a certain department. So that is yes. Then allow zero length? No. You cannot allow zero length. So you have to choose no. Somebody must enter something. Do we need to index the department? No. So here for indexed, we don't need to index the department. So we can just click on no. We don't need to index. And then save that table, save those properties. And then we close. So we proceed in the same manner. We set properties for courses. So you right click on the courses, you click on the side view, Then for the course ID, it should not exceed 5 characters. Is it required? Yes, it is required. Allow zero length? No, it must be enter. Somebody must enter something. Then indexed? Yes. And no duplicates? Allowed. We move on to course name. Course name, you can set a maximum of 50 characters there. Is it required? Yes. Somebody must enter something. Allow zero length? No. We cannot allow it to be empty. So we click on no. Do we need to index? Do we need to index the course name? Yes. Let's index the course name and no duplicates allowed. So yes, but no duplicates allowed. Then we go to credit hours. Credit hours, it's not long integer. Let us make it shorter a little bit. So we can set it font size as integer. Is it required? Yes, we cannot allow it to be left as empty. So we said yes, it is required. Allow zero length. So is it indexed? Do we need to index that? I repeat what I've asked. On required, do you want it to be there or somebody can leave it as empty? So required, yes. Now, do we need to allow zero length? No, of course, because you have chosen the data type as integer, we don't need to specify on whether to allow zero length or not, because integer has the maximum length. Now, is it indexed? Are we going to index? Do we need to index the credit hours? No. I repeat, we are in the credit hours. So for credit hours, you click there, then credit hours. The data type here, is it supposed to be integer or number? So credit hours is not supposed to be integer, but number. So let's set it as number. You see it? Then data type is number. That's okay. Yes. What data do we need? It is an integer. Required or not? Yes, required. Allow zero length? That option is not there because we have already decided it's an integer and the integers are maximum size. Indexed? No, we don't need to index the credit hours. So we go to program ID. The program ID is supposed to be maximum of 5 characters. Is it required? Is program ID required? Yes. We need it. It is required. So we choose yes. Allow zero length for program ID? No, we cannot allow zero length. Somebody must choose the program. Then, is it supposed to be indexed? Do you need to index program ID? Yes, it's good to index it and duplicates okay. Once you have done that, you save that table. You close the design view for it, and then we go to enrollment table. So let's open enrollments in design view and set our properties. So the short text data type is needed, and the maximum number of characters is 5. Our ID is 5. Is it required? Yes, it is required. Do we need to allow zero length? No. Somebody must enter something. So we cannot allow it to be left empty. Is it supposed to be indexed? Yes, index it and no duplicates allowed. We move on to the next field, student ID. Student ID maximum is 5 characters. Student ID, is it required? Yes, it is required. So we choose yes. Allow zero length? No, we don't need it to be empty. And therefore, somebody must choose something. Is it supposed to be indexed? Yes. And duplicates are allowed. That's okay. We move on to course ID. Course ID maximum size is 5. Is it required? Yes. Somebody must enter that. Allow zero length. Can it be empty? No. We don't want it to be empty. Is it indexed? Yes. Duplicates? Okay. Because it is already a primary key in another table. From there, we go to academic year. Academic year is number and it is integer. So not long integer, but it's supposed to be integer. So we choose integer. And its format is, because this is academic year, it should be a maximum of 4 characters or 4 numbers. It should be a number. So this means it's a number. Is it required? Yes, we cannot have it ignored. Is it indexed? Do we need to index the academic year? No, we don't need to index that. We don't need to index the academic year. From there, we set the properties for the term. The term is a number. It is type integer. We don't want it to be very long. We want 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is of type integer. Is it required? Yes. We cannot have this one as empty. It is required. Index. Do we need to index the term? No, we don't need to. So the rest, we can ignore. We can leave the others. Then you save it. You close it. Next, we set the properties for departments. So we open departments in design view. Then department ID cannot exceed 5. So we set it as 5. Is it required? Yes, it is required. Allow zero length? No, we cannot allow zero length. Somebody must enter something. Is it indexed? Yes, and no duplicates. That's okay. Then we set department name. Department name should not exceed 50 characters. Is it required? Yes, it must be required. Allow zero length? No, we cannot allow zero length. And then, do we need to sort it or index it? Yes, and duplicates, okay. So indexed, we choose yes, and duplicates, okay. Good. We then save that table. We close the table in design view. Next is the payments table. So we can proceed. We open the payments table in design view at where, and then we set the properties. The properties for payments table will be as follows. Number 1 is the payment ID. Payment ID, this one should not exceed 6 characters. Then, is it required? Yes, it can't be ignored. Allow zero length? No, we cannot allow zero length. Indexed? Yes, and no duplicates allowed. Then student ID. We move on, we set student ID, the short text and maximum of 5 characters. It should be maximum of 5 characters. Is it required? Yes, it must be required. People must enter. Now, is it supposed to be empty? No, it cannot be empty. Is it indexed? Yes, and duplicates, okay. So we have to index. The student ID can be indexed. Then we move on to date and the time, the payment date. This one is supposed to be short date. So we choose short date here, short date. So it's short date. Is it required? Yes. As you can see, my dear students, the rest of the learners, I am activating the required. Then for the indexed, it can depend. So is payment date supposed to be indexed? Payment date does not require indexing. So is it required? Yes. Does it need to be indexed? No. We move on to currency. So amount paid. The format for this one, yes, it is currency, but what format? The format here is Kenya shillings. So we type Kenya shillings at where? Kenyan shillings, and then we set it that way. Allow somebody to key in some figures. So, and the amount paid as that way. Then is it required? Of course, yes. We cannot ignore. So we must enter under required some figure. Do we need to sort it? The amount paid? Yes, we can sort it. So we can speed the search, not sorting, but speeding the search. So we can set it as yes and duplicates. Okay. Then we move on to the payment mode. The payment mode is not supposed to exceed 10 characters, M-Pesa, cash, etc. So we can set the front to 10. Is it required? Yes. The entry must be made. Do we need to allow zero length? Zero length? No, we cannot have zero length. A value must be entered. Do we need to index? Do we need to index? So index? No, we don't need to index. So that's how we're setting those properties. So we can click on save and we close that table. So my dear students and the rest of the learners, that is how we set our properties. So once we have done that, once we have set all our properties for each of our tables, we can then move on with our database to the next level. So for the courses table, we have set our properties as you can see. We have already done that. We have set our properties. For field size, we have set required, yes. Allow zero length, no. And you can see those which are indexed, especially those which can be used to speed up the search. They are the ones which we have indexed. So we have set that. For the enrollment table, we have indexed the enrollment ID to speed the search. We have also indexed the student ID, as you can see, and also course ID. We have indexed those to speed the search. And one thing that you need to have noted is on the field size, like for the academic year, you can see the format put 4 zeros to restrict it to a number. Then we have also set the properties for the departments table. We have 2 fields. Under field size, we have restricted the department ID to 5 characters maximum. The department name is 50. Remember, I have said that the field size is determined by the length of the data that are going to be storing in a certain field. So you don't just set. And then if you don't want anybody to skip entry, you need to set allow zero length. You set it to no, so that it becomes mandatory for someone to enter a certain value. And also the required, you set it as yes to ensure that somebody does not skip it. And then I have indexed the fields for department ID and department name. Now I want you to look at the indexed. For department ID, I've said yes, and no duplicates are allowed. That means you cannot enter the ID twice. But for department name, you can see you can enter twice because students can share a department. Courses can share a department, but you cannot have one department having an ID similar to another one. For the payments table, we have set the font size for payment ID to maximum of 6, student ID to maximum of 5. Remember, this number of characters are dictated by the numbering for your departments for institution. If a department has only 2 or 3 are known by 2 or 3 numbers, like 21, 15, etc., then that's the criteria you use to determine the field size, the number of characters that are going to leave for the entry. For the payment date, you can see I've set it to short date. And the other field I want you to look at is the amount paid field. You can see I'm formatting it to Kenya shillings. If you leave it, it will have the dollars or some other figures like pounds, etc. Then you can see the indexing. The indexing have indexed the payment ID, a student ID, and amount paid. To speeden the search. Description is explanations. And therefore, my dear students and the rest of the learners, we have come to the end of part 10 of 22, in which we have learned about how to set field properties. You can now continue to part 11 of 22, in which you are going to learn further on how to set the input masks and validation rules for each of our fields to restrict the entry and ensure the data has integrity and accuracy that is needed. Congratulations, therefore, for learning part 10 of 22 on field properties and indexing in a relational database using Microsoft Access. You can access the rest of the parts in the series, as well as other computer or ICT videos, by clicking or tapping on MLSwap ICT YouTube channel below this video. To subscribe to the channel, tap on subscribe button below this video. And if you want to join MLSwap ICT YouTube channel at a higher level, so that you can have what we call one-on-one learning with the presenter or the trainer, you can click on join button and then determine your level of joining of the channel by responding appropriately to the prompts that will be displayed. So you can subscribe to the channel by tapping on the subscribe button if it is not already reading as subscribed. For any further correspondence, kindly write it to us through the email emilyswap@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening to me. Let's meet in part 11 of the series, and God bless.